Easy little baby girl. Oh, sweetheart. Well, hello, family, friends, fellow YouTubers. We want to welcome you to Jim's In Town Gardening and also Bella's Legacy Rabbitry. And as of the last 3 weeks, in the kitchen with Leanna. So we want to welcome you to our channel. If you haven't subscribed to our channel and you want to learn about gardening, you want to learn about rabbits, if you want to try some great new dinners, or I think because I saw some of the ingredients that Leanna bought yesterday, I think she's going to do a dessert, which is one of my favorites. Not like I need chocolate, but going to be excited. So I have Esther with me. Easy, sweetheart. Easy. Esther is a Rex doe that we bought, I'm going to say about a month and a half ago. You might have remembered a video that I included her and her brother. This is Esther. And she's a gorgeous little girl. She's on the small side. Her brother Jeremiah, he's on the small side too, but they're growing. They're growing. Sweet rabbits. I love the otter. One thing that really amazes me with these guys is, the white along the ears, under their chin, that defined white to the black. It's just beautiful. Easy, sweetheart. That and along the belly. So anyways, today is actually Sunday when I record. Easy, honey. When I recorded this message. And usually when I come out after I get the video rendering from the message that we taught, I come out and do a check the hay balls, check the water. And especially when we've got so many litters right now. Just check, make sure everything's all right. But on Sundays, it's also the day that I normally record to what you'll be watching on Monday. It's just easier for me to do it this way. Tuesday will be the rabbits for sale. I'll probably make that video, I'm hoping this afternoon, and possibly it will end up being tomorrow that I do that. And then of course Leanna's, what she's been adding, we do that whenever she's making a meal. In the last video that actually we did kind of an extra when we did the turkey and the rabbit stock, she had commented, it seems like every time that she's cooking, I want to grab the recording things and just like to share. There's some of the recipes that she does that are my favorites, and you trying to be naughty. So, I like to share some of them things. There are a few recipes that I don't know if I'm going to have her, I don't know if she'd give up on. These are ones that she's had for a long time. But anyways, I've had quite a few people talking about rabbits and the usefulness of their manure. And that is one of the reasons why I started with rabbits. We started with the 2 does and the buck. That would be Rex, Sugar, and Satin, our indoor bunny. Okay, can I put you back? Can I put you back, or are you going to just sit here? Okay, we'll just sit here for a minute. Anyways, the rabbit manure is so good. One thing that I like about it, for instance, and I shared with a woman who was calling about cages and possibly some rabbits. Her and her husband are going to get into rabbits. They've been talking about this. They're doing the homework, the researching. They want to have the cages. They want to have it all set up to, how they're going to do it. And then purchase a rabbit, which is good thinking. It's different than a lot of people who have bought from us. A lot of people, they get excited, they buy a rabbit, and oh, I need a cage too. And I need a feeder, and I need a water bottle, and then they see the hay balls that we use, and I got to have one of those too. So anyways, the last 2 or 3 people who have talked to us, this is what they've done. They've gotten their cages, they've done their homework, the research, what to do, what not to do, which is really good. You sweetheart, you are just a little darling. So, anyways, the woman that I was talking to, we got talking about the manure, and I said, the rabbit manure is so good. I don't know if you have a garden, but you will not see plants grow like they do when you get the rabbit manure in there. And there's 2 different ways, actually 3 different ways that I do it. If I'm top dressing, and I gotta put you back in your cage so I can show, okay? Be right with you. Okay, so one of the things that I do, when I clean the cage, I've got, they're actually 24 by 24 rabbit trays, the dropping trays. So what I do when I'm cleaning out my cages is I bring my wheelbarrow in. I have my bucket of soapy water. Sometimes it's got vinegar with it. So that goes right here. And what I'll do is I'll bring a tray, set it on top of the wheelbarrow, and let's see if I can do this without. Anyways, I have my latex gloves on, and I pick out the marbles, and I don't pick out every single marble out of that dropping tray. Anyways, I'll take a big clump. I have actually I think I got one in my pocket somewhere. I put my latex glove on, and I'll pick out, what I can get real easy. Try to separate any hay, and the reason why I do that is, number one, I use my dried marbles. I use that like in our hibiscus tree, which is an inside plant. Now that has got a tub. That's in a planter. It's probably that big. Probably almost 2 feet tall. That's what that's growing in. And I'll put a good 2-3 inches of these marbles on top. The nice thing about the poop is there's no smell to that. If you've ever gone into a rabbitry, what you're smelling is the urine. The urine is very strong. But anyways, I'll take the marbles out. When I get about as much as you saw in that tray there, I have them sitting on top of my cages. And there it's going to sit for probably, in this weather that we've been having, we've gotten quite a bit of snow. We've had cold days, not a whole lot of sun. So they could be up there for probably 5 days. When they're dry, then I bring one of my grain bags and I dump it into the grain bag, and there I keep it until I sell it or keep it until I use it. The other thing in my garden, if I'm going to use those, what I'll do is I'll kind of side dress my plants, like in my potato beds. Of course, everybody knows, or most of you know, that I do the back to Eden method of gardening. So I've got wood chips over my whole garden. So like on my potatoes, on my garlic, even around my tomato plants, what I'll do is I'll, take handfuls of it and I'll just go on top of the wood chips with the rabbit poop. Now, if I'm planting, like if I'm planting tomatoes, if I'm planting peppers, any of the transplants that I'm putting in, what I'll do is I'll dig my hole, and I'll take, let me show you. All right, so this is Midnight's cage. This is a day's worth. Now she's a small rabbit, so there's not a whole lot of poop there. Let's go to Buster. He's my big boy. Okay, again, there's not a whole lot in there. The dry hay, what I'll do with the dry hay is that will go into a grain bag, and any of the apple treats that the rabbit didn't eat from the night before, you know, they lost it throughout, you know, when they were eating it and it fell down into the tray, that will go into that same grain bag. Heel ends and stuff from bread, Leanna usually, you know, any bread that went stale or whatever, I bring that out, I crumple it up, that goes into that bag, and when I'm all done, that goes into the chicken barn, the chicken coop. You know, they've got that bedding, so I'm not using as much shavings as I normally will. They've got those little pieces of apple, you know, that didn't get eaten. Actually, I noticed a couple of them that didn't get it last night. And they get the bread, and you know, they'll scratch it and whatever, kind of fluff up what's in the coop. So it works well. So any of the wet manures or stuff that I don't give to the chickens or I don't put into these pans, that's what I'll use when I'm planting my tomato plants, my pepper plants, even squash plants if I start those ahead, cucumber plants. The other thing that I'll do is if I'm planting corn. Now, when I'm planting corn, a lot of times I start my plants and I let them get up about 2.5, 3 inches tall. You know, in the seed racks, seed cells, and I'll move the chips, I'll dig a little furrow, I'll throw a little bit of compost down. Well, actually, I'll throw the manure down, throw the compost on top of that, rake back in some of that dirt, plant my corn, usually about a foot apart, you know, in the row. Normally I go 2 feet in between rows, sometimes 2.5 feet, because I normally raise the Silver Queen, which is a very, very tall plant. That will, for me, it usually gets somewhere around 10 or 12 feet tall. It's real tall. I love that corn. So anyways, you know, that I will use the wetter stuff that I'm not going to dry, stuff that's not going to go into the chicken coop. Now, the other thing that I do with the wetter stuff during the wintertime, my chickens don't like to go out in the run when there's snow on the ground. So there's been times that I'll save bags of leaves, and I'll, you know, after we get a snow, I'll shovel away from the snow and I'll throw leaves on it. But where I use so much leaves, like the back of this barn is banked, around our house is banked, I've got a whole bunch of other leaves. So what I'll do in the spring with those is I'll mix anything that I'm not using in the garden, anything that I'm not going to dry up here, will go into the compost pile. So, and now I'm composting it. So when I do that, I want to have that 2/3 brown matter. So that's why the leaves. I have got some wood chips that didn't go into the garden. I can mix that in with it too, because I have to keep the odors down. If I use straight rabbit manure, the rabbit pee, and whatever hay there is in here, you know, you start throwing that into a compost pile, it's not going to take long, it's going to start smelling. You know, when you've got this amount of rabbits, if you're only talking 2 or 3, you're not going to have that problem. But I think right now, with counting, Lily's 6 babies, counting Sugar's babies, counting Baby's babies, counting Mandy's babies, counting Daisy's babies, there's about 67 rabbits in this barn. Now you're talking, some are tiny babies, but that's a lot of rabbits. You know, so where I live I'm in town, I've got neighbors all around me, I don't want that smell, so I mix with a lot of wood chips, I mix a lot with leaves, and it gives me a good compost. So, getting back to the manures, You know, like I said, I can take these marbles, even if they hadn't started to dry, and I can use it on my household plants. They don't have to be composted first. Like I said, you've got no odor to them. You know, so maybe you don't have rabbits, and maybe you're looking for a good fertilizer. If you've got somebody that you know that's raising rabbits, you know, pay them a visit. Maybe they'll sell you some. They might even give you some. It's a very, very good source for your plants. Now, the reason why I don't put, you know, the manure right out of the cage that's got some hay in it, is because I don't want the seed going right into my garden where I've got the wood chips in there. It wouldn't take long for that little seed to find some source of nutrient to start growing. What I love about the back to Eden style of gardening is I don't have to worry much about weeds. I'm not going to tell you that I don't have any weeds, because I do, but it's minimal. Usually if I'm going to have a weed, it's going to be where I've, you know, moved the chips, like if I'm planting lettuce or spinach or radishes, something like that. I've moved the chips away. I've planted my seed, and there's nothing covering it after. You know, so I'm going to get some weeds that are going to start growing there. So usually I try to keep on top of that. As my lettuce, my spinach, or whatever it is growing up, then I can bring those wood chips back in, and I'm back to not having a problem with weeds again. Nice, sweetheart. Everybody wants to be pet. I brought one out, now they all want to be pet. So that was kind of my tip for today. You know, the use of rabbit manure. It's so awesome. Unless you've ever used rabbit manure for your garden or even household plants, you're not going to know. Now, when I sell my rabbit manure, what I do is I put it in my 50-pound grain bags. When it's dry, like I said, these trays here will probably be 4 or 5 days. We haven't had much sun, so I'll let them dry. As they dry out, usually what I do is I set my pan here, I hold the bag underneath, and I scoop it in there, and I get $10 a bag. So there's another, you know, little bit of income that you can get from your rabbits, if you're not using it yourself. You know, my way of thinking, yes, I'd like to have some manure when I go to plant, but, you know, with this amount of rabbits, I'll have plenty of manure. And that's what happened last year. I sold some of it, and, you know, as I was planting, I had plenty from here. And if I'm planting right into the garden now, I don't have to dry this. The only reason I'm doing it now is I have to have a place to keep it. I don't want to put wet the marbles in a bag for different reasons. Number one, I don't want it just sitting in there and molding. You know, for me, it's just easy to dry it. It's lighter when I fill the bag up. So, anyways, there was a little bit of, hopefully that will help. So you'll see this Monday, Tuesday. I'll have some updates on rabbits we have for sale. Actually, Mandy's are up for sale now. They turned 8 weeks Saturday. They're smaller than, you know, what my New Zealand's would be. Those are, Mandy is a good size Rex, and she was bred to Buster, Buster is a New Zealand white boy. He's looking at me. I think he is somewhere around 10.10 ounces. He's a big boy. He's a big New Zealand buck. Picture that I put on the other day, I got a shot of him standing up, and Leanna and I've got it on my desktop. Every time that picture comes up, there's Buster. But anyways, her babies are a little bit on the smaller side. They're gorgeous. So I'll have some video on them. In fact, maybe I'll even do some sexing and find out what they are. it would be neat if the two black ones were boy and girl. It would be so neat if well, one's kind of a fawn color, the other is, I think they call it tortoise. You know, if one of them was female and the other was a buck, and then the other one, and there's a girl that's been following me, Carrie. Quite often she'll tell me, oh, but, you know, I'm getting old and my memory isn't, I can't remember what she calls them. But anyways, if one of those is a boy and the other one is a girl, just like Babies, that was so neat how all three of them look alike, different colors, but the boy and the girl look alike, another boy and a girl look alike. Just neat how that worked. I don't know why that happened, but it was so neat. So anyways, hopefully, you know, if you had some questions or, you know, wondering about how good rabbit manure is, hopefully this helped you. And if you have any questions, you know what, I'll even go in and do some scientific breakdowns on, you know, what's in the manure. All I know is it works for me. I don't have anywhere near the weed issues as if I was using cow manure or some of the others. You know, with the chickens, with that, normally my chicken manure won't go out into the garden. Usually there's about a 6 to 8 month breakdown time with that. You know, because that can be a hot manure. That is so strong in nitrogen. But anyways, I hope this helped you. You know, if you're looking for a source of manures, you know, whether you want to raise rabbits for food on your table, or if you want to raise them as pets, I'm selling a lot of these bigger girls and boys as pets. I mean, New Zealand Rex crosses, straight Rexes. Actually, I sold 2 New Zealand girls I can think of right off the top. That 2 girls, they bought them as pets. So, you know, you've got the pet, or you've got the meat, but you've got that rabbit manure also. So great for your gardens. Friends, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. Click the bell icon. That way you'll know when we upload. As of now, it's usually 3 weeks, sometimes 4. There's a link to our YouTube ministry channel. That's 2 videos a week. Soon, you know, probably within a month. Like I said, we're here in Maine. In about a month, I'll be starting some of my seeds for the garden. Some of the flower seeds, impatiens, pansies, a whole bunch of them, because my wife loves those flowers. So I'll be starting them, getting those in the grow rack. So we'll be adding more content. You've got Leanna doing a cooking thing at least 1 day a week. Hopefully you're enjoying that. I know there's been quite a bit of response in some of them. So love you guys. Thank you so much for all your support. You know, Leanna and I, she's getting more about this YouTube thing. You know, seeing how these videos are helping other people. So thank you for your support. Couldn't do what we do without you guys. You know, if no one was interested, I wouldn't probably bother with these videos. But there is some want for these, so that's great. Love you guys. God bless.